Welcome to the Vault Excel. Thank you for joining me. This conversation is pertaining to the disappearance of Summer Wells. She has been missing 2.5 years, and we're going to take a dive into the past of how this story came to be, questions, scenarios, culpability from those who knew her, such as her parents, friends, neighbors, strangers. What happened to this child? Is she alive? Is she deceased? Who knows the answers? The link is in the chat if you would like to come up on the panel. But mind you, please be respectful to the hostess and the viewing audience. This is a live conversation pertaining to the disappearance of a child. We will also discuss the state of her brothers, where they are. Are they happy? Why is it that they are not living with their parents? What was the reason that the children were removed? Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $Big Angie, 129 Cash App. Stickers and chats are always welcome during the live stream. Thank you for your time. WATE News Knoxville has a brief clip pertaining to the disappearance of Summer Wells, and it was uploaded to the viewing audience 2 days ago. Channel 6 News is the source. Thank you for joining me.
Well, 2.5 years, that's how long Summer Wells has now been missing. The then 5-year-old was last seen at her Waynesboro home on June 15th, 2021. There have been few developments in this case, especially when it comes to the child's whereabouts. This past June, almost 2 years to the day she went missing, the TBI released this age-progressed photo of Summer. She would be 7 years old. The Amber Alert remains active. If you have credible information in the case, you need to contact authorities. More on the Summer Wells case, go to our website, wate.com.
Okay, everybody, that's WATE News 6. If you need verification for that information, they have done information lately pertaining to the disappearance of Summer, a child missing out of East Tennessee. One thing I find interesting about this brief clip is that they said she lived in Waynesboro. I have never heard that name mentioned as the location of where she went missing. I'm assuming that is a small region near Rogersville. I don't know, but that is what was mentioned here in the conversation. As I said, once again, hello, Lolo. Hello, everybody in the chat. Hello, Patricia Parker. The link is in the chat. Lolo, you and I have never spoken, and I would like for you to hit the link tonight just to say hello, even if you do not have any commentary pertaining to the disappearance of Summer Wells, but you have been watching this network for some time and commenting, and I would like to hear your voice and you tell me where you are calling me from. I'd appreciate that if you don't mind. Let's read some of the comments below this WATE News segment pertaining to Summer Wells. Hold on one second. I got to get back in. To pull the video up. It got off so quickly there. Thank you all so much for joining me. 47 comments. May not read all of them, but just to give you a synopsis of what people have to say pertaining to the disappearance of this child. Thank you for keeping Summer in the public. We still hope she will soon be found. As long as everyone else looks and you don't. Oh, okay. So that was a nasty comment. See how ignorant people are? Well, it's not everyone's position to look for a child. First of all, you don't know where they're calling from, writing from, and you don't know their jurisdiction. And it's not everyone's job to look for a missing person. Because one, where would a person know to look? We don't know where to look. That's the whole point of the situation. Because we don't even know where she was, allegedly. So how would a person know where to look for her? Still praying for this sweetheart to be found. Thank you for keeping Summer's name out there. Thank you for not letting go of this case. I was just thinking about her and this came up instantly. Keep her story alive. Justice for Summer Moon Utah Wells, and whole town and her parents knows more than they're admitting to! ! Thank you for remembering Summer. Please help find her and the answers needed. Love and prayers for Summer and her family. Nice to see someone saying something about this case. Thank you for remembering Summer Wells. Thank you for still covering Summer's disappearance. She is the perfect This says, this is the perfect time for these local TV reporters to demand a statement from Sheriff Lawson. He promised an update months ago. TBI should give us an update also. It's the least they could do. 2 replies. They are doing the least. RL would unemotionally give the same old song and dance and piss people off worse. TBI, excuse me, go back in here. TBI must have moved on or never got started. Ellie is the reason Summer has received zero justice. Well, I'm not here to blame either party for the investigation, because I don't know what is going on with the investigation as far as the sheriff's department or TBI. I'm definitely not going to say anything bad about TBI because they came in to help. They didn't have to, but they did. And obviously the sheriff didn't mind them coming in. So that's that. Now, as far as Ronnie Lawson's role in this, I have no idea. What is the problem? And as this person said, they should be giving an update, his office, and they should, because enough time has emerged. We're going out of this year. Sadly, we're coming out of December, and there has been no update pertaining to just the investigation, anything that they've learned. And I would assume that if they had an update, they would gladly share it with the public. But so far, we have heard nothing. And so, yes, people are wondering, those who are still concerned about the disappearance of the child, why has there been no update? So I will say this to Mr. Lawson myself. Will you speak to the public in the near future, such as before December 31st or January 1st, 2024, sir? The public would like to know. You said I'm in the middle of dinner. You don't have to be anxious, dear. Illinois, 3 hours from Chicago. Okay. Well, I'd like to hear from you if you can, because I don't know how long I'm going to be on for this live stream. I don't want to hold long because my lives have been getting a bit winded, and I'd like to cut my time down. So that's why I have the link at the top of the chat. Enough time for people to come up and give their opinion. As I said, please be respectful to the hostess and the viewing audience. But where is this child? Where can she be found? Who is responsible? Because in the end, one would have to say that an adult is responsible. Or one could say a child is responsible. Either way, a human is responsible because she didn't just wander off. Or did she wander off? Got lost in the woods and never was able to come out of wherever she wandered off. You're entitled to your opinion of what you believe happened to her. But I believe another human is responsible for the disappearance of this child. That's my personal opinion. Let's go back to the comments under this WATE news. Prayers for Summer Wells. Prayers for Summer. I'm glad some news channel put something out, even if it was short, just to remind people that Summer is still out there and needs justice. This is from Laura B. 4269. Amen. Very sad. Crying emoji. Prayer hands, heart. Justice for the family. Very interesting. Praying for the upper LE officials to find leads. May God, our Father, strengthen, heal, unite all. Praying the young lady lady stays safe till found. Well, you have to use deduction when it comes to missing children, missing people. The stories can vary depending on what the person was going through and who they encountered. Some people go missing intentionally. Some people go missing by the hands of another human. They're held hostage, but they are not deceased. They're alive, but nobody knows that they're alive. Or they have a culprit involved and they are not telling the truth to where the person can be. Is that the case of the disappearance of her? Is she held somewhere, but she's alive? Number 1. 2, she met foul play by a stranger and she is not alive. 3, she met foul play by the hands of her parent or parents. She is not alive. 4, she was sold by her parents to someone, but she's alive. Or sold to someone and she was assaulted and then murdered. What is the truth? I am weighing all options because, 1, I don't know what happened to her. Either way, I don't think it's good. That's my personal opinion as well. That even if she was sold by a parent or parents, you don't have, 1, knowledge that she was sold, and 2, let's just say she was. What do you think somebody would be doing with a small child? Usually something nefarious in nature. And most children who are human trafficked, let's say, so however you want to word it, they don't end up faring well, especially a child at that age. We're not talking about a 13 or 14-year-old. You're talking about a child, and when you're talking about devious deeds done to a child, you can't assume that they would be alive. You have to use common sense. because you're talking about someone who can't defend herself against a predator. Hello, everybody in the chat. Thank you for joining me. God bless all of you. Happy holidays, everybody. Where is this child? Will we ever find out the truth? Will somebody finally tell the truth? They know what happened. As I've told you so many times pertaining to true crime, there is always somebody that holds the secret of the perpetrator suspect. It is hard for many of us to believe that because some of us would say, I would never do that. I would never hold a secret, the lie, be culpable. But when you watch true crime, and I watch a lot of it late night, you'll see people who know exactly what happened to somebody because the person cannot wait to tell. Has the culprit told someone, or plural, what happened to her, and they have chosen not to tell the truth? And why would you want to hold that secret of knowing of a bad deed done to a baby or even an adult? It's all the same. You know that something bad happened to the child and you won't tell it. Why not? They're blackmailing you. They've scared you into not speaking. They've threatened you. And what if it's a matter of it's the parents? You're still hanging on to each other. As I've understood, parents are still together. So if one harmed the other one, but let it be known that they hurt the child, why in God's name would you stay with the other person? That would be crazy. Many people would say, why in the world would you do that? You know somebody harmed your child and you would stay with the parent for what reason? Because maybe you're sick as well. Back to the comments. Did he just say missing from Waynesboro? That's in Middle Tennessee. You would think they'd get the location right. For the record, it's Rogersville, Tennessee, and East Tennessee. So someone has said this in the comment. I thought that was strange too. I didn't even know Waynesboro was in Middle Tennessee. Tennessee's a long state. I don't keep up with all the towns. But I said to myself, Waynesboro, I didn't know she was living in Waynesboro. So there must have misprint there in the news. Very interesting. Justice for Summer. Prayers for Summer Moon. Merry Christmas. Somebody's saying it's a Jodi. Let's see, why would you say that? See, this shows you how ignorant people are. This is what I keep talking about when it comes to true crime. The Summer Wells, and somebody here says Merry Christmas to Jodi. I don't even want to mention that person's name during this live stream because the subject isn't about she, it's about Summer. Well, this is why I don't like talking about true crime anymore, because of the ignorance that comes with talking about missing people, dead people. Somebody says, in my opinion, Summer did not look like the missing poster pics. Her hair was shaved short when she went missing. The age progression looks like a preteen female, not 7 years old, shaking my head. Where's the cuss for the parents and the grandma who all know what happened to Summer? Mean face emoji. Very true. That's a very valid point. Why are you all showing these age progressions of a child who didn't even have hair on her head? That is a very valid point. That needs to be addressed. You are showing her with hair even a year or two ago when she didn't even have the hair. Hair may have grown out if she's actually alive, but you don't know how it's styled. You know she had bangs, one side cropped longer than the other. That's how they were cutting her hair in phases before her disappearance. Some found that nefarious. Some linked that to some type of child ring of deviance of the children having their hair chopped off on one side. I don't know. I don't live up there. I don't know the style of how they wear their hair in Eastern Tennessee. Don't really care. Bring a receipt. See, that's the deviant part of this story, like all these other stories, the constant making up of stuff. The hair's cut like this for this reason. The hair was cut down for this reason. Bring a receipt. Because in the end, it becomes just gossip. They did this because of this. They did this because of this. Well, one thing I will say, and I've said it before, because I pay attention to details when it comes to these crimes. If it is a stranger, let's say, that took the child, they were lurking about on the property, watching through the trees, if you want to be this mysterious. If the girl child is dressed like a boy on the day or days of the person watching, then I would assume, stay woke now, that I'm looking at a boy. So I'm not idolizing a girl if I'm into boys. So if the child stayed dressing like a boy and the perpetrator was a stranger to the child, let's just say hypothetical. He, she, they thought they were taking a boy until they got the girl home in the car, wherever they took her, and realized, oh my goodness, this is not a boy, this is a girl. Stay woke. But we don't know the truth of if it's a stranger, a parent, a relative, a neighbor. How do we know? Because we don't know. And that's the scary part of this story. Praying for Summer found soon. Justice for Summer. Where's Waynesboro? Summer went missing from Rogersville, Tennessee. Okay. Her teeth didn't look like that. Another commenter. I don't even think that age progression image is remotely close. Either way, the parents know she's dead. They only speak about her in the past tense since their beginning interviews. Just arrest them already. Assets Granny to since her story is chock full of holes too. Someone will talk. Very interesting. A lot of hearts and praying hands. Two separate people. Thanks, y'all, for keeping Summer Moon, Utah Wells in the public eye. Have a Merry Christmas and a safe New Year's. Rogersville, Tennessee. This baby needs to be found and parents arrested. So sad. 914 days. And so many unanswered questions. That was a day ago. So right now we'd be at what? 915 days of the child missing. Thank you. Edited to add. Can you share with ABC affiliates, especially New York and ABC News? I think a great effort to get this national once again is so very important for the journalists to get the full picture and start investigating. Not the YouTubers making hundreds of thousands of dollars putting out misinformation and propaganda. Well, Deborah Hayne, Queen don't make that kind of money. I don't even make $1,000. So just saying. It's Rogersville. Maybe you can fix that. We count on the news to get it right after 2 years. Well, people are getting angry now because he said the wrong thing. I wish the child would be found. More praying hands and hearts. Unbelievable. Why? Praying hands, hearts. Thank you, somebody says. Her parents know exactly where she is, okay? Waynesboro, you mean Rogersville, don't you? One reply. Somebody must have removed their comment. That's just a synopsis of the comments under the WATE news clip pertaining to the disappearance of Summer. Well, let's not get too riled up because the news reporter gave the wrong location. He's reading a teleprompter. So 9 times out of 10, he didn't type that on the teleprompter. Somebody else may have typed that information onto the teleprompter and he was just reading it. So we're going to go back and say she went missing from Rogersville. Did she go missing from Rogersville? Because you really don't have proof that's where she went missing from. You could say she was from Rogersville, but we don't really know where she went missing from. All we know is another child is into the story. We'll call him Boy H. He went along for the ride of the day with the mother, but he says he saw her last in the vehicle. That's the end of that. So what happened to the child from that house in Kingsport to journey back to Rogersville with the grandmother, the mother, and the child? What happened to her? Very scary. There's a Facebook group pertaining to Summer Wells I was looking at briefly before going live. Lots of people, saying basically the same thing here. A lot of positive things were more on that Facebook page than a few of these negative comments of people saying the parents are involved. But nonetheless, it is a baffling story here. It's right up the road from the Queen. And it is scary because it's a child. We're not talking about an adult. But it's still scary for a person to go missing and they didn't choose to go. Let me make that clear. It's a difference if I want to go missing. But my goodness, why would you harm a child? And that's a live stream I would like to do in the near future and possibly this week. What is it about murder? If we say the child was murdered, why are people murdering people on whim? I was listening last night, half asleep, or rather this morning, true crime show. It might have been A&E. And the detective is asking this grown man why he killed this person. And I could hear him saying, I don't really know. I don't have a reason. You see, that's more scary than a person saying they have a reason why they murdered somebody. But you see this so much in the news. Murder, murder, murder. Why? Not self-defense. The person wasn't trying to harm you. They weren't taking anything from you. They weren't breaking into your house, breaking into your car. They weren't trying to abduct you. But you found some reason that this person was not worthy of living. You decided to take their life. Stranger, relative, co-worker, whomever. Why? But what did I always tell you about true crime? Don't ask why. Ask why not, because that's how the killer thinks. I don't need a reason. You need a reason. I do not. You need clarification for this crime. I do not. I killed him because I could. Same thing with many crimes: theft, fraud, lying. I did it because I could. I didn't need a reason. I don't need to explain to you anything. Is that what happened to this little girl? It is scary to even think of someone murdering an innocent baby, because to me, 5, 6 years old, that's a baby. Still a baby. What would possess a human to say she did not deserve to live, if we are to believe the child was murdered? Was she murdered? Was it an accident? Where did it happen? Who was a witness? Culpable? Who's holding the secret to what happened to this little girl? Now, factor in she had brothers. Also lived with these parents. Saw a lot of things, heard a lot of things. God forbid they are to ever breathe what they saw and heard living in that house. We saw how the house lived when a social media person went to the house to interview the mother. Not the best looking house. Poor representation of East Tennesseans. We do not live like that, most of us that live here in East Tennessee. Let me make that clear. Black or white. We do not. How they lived up there on that hill was a choice. And it wasn't the children's fault, because as I've always said, and most of you know this, children do not ask to be here, and nor do they choose their parents. Who would choose those two? Very ignorant acting and behaving. And one would say, that's guilt right there. Look at how they behaved. But nonetheless, we saw the house. You start to question the mentality of those who would rear children up there in that hill in that state of a home. And then your mind starts to wander. What the hell was going on up there? And then we got a glimpse into what was going on up there when the parents decided to be on social media. They couldn't lie in the cut and be quiet and be still. Let the sheriff, TBI, investigate the case and bring forward information. They had to exacerbate an already terrible situation by acting ignorant, going on live streams with other ignorant people. And that made a lot of people question how they were rearing their children and what actually happened to the child. Because you see, decent people don't behave that way. Let me make that clear. Too many people are missing right now, and their relatives did not go to the news or social media behaving in the manner that these two have behaved. live streams where they're cursing, racial slurs, under the influence, and now I'm supposed to believe you are the type of person that would not harm your child, would not do something nefarious to your child. Why would I think that you are a good parent? Because what you have to ask yourself is the obvious. If you would behave this way after a child goes missing, this is how you were behaving when you were in the proximity of the child. And that says a lot. And that's what people need to always remember. And Dr. Phil has said it best. Past behavior is indicative of future behavior. And it's not to say that you cannot change your ways, your behavior, your tongue, but you have to make an effort. And I don't think even now, at 2.5 years later, these two have made an effort to try to change. I don't keep up with them. I don't watch other networks pertaining to any content pertaining to this family because I don't want to. There comes a time when you have to leave well enough alone. And to me, they're not worthy of indulging into what they have to say. Because my thing is, if this is how you're going to behave and you have your boys removed and a missing girl child, this is how you were behaving when the children were in your custody, you don't have anything of interest to me. Not now, not never. And the fact that you all are over the age of 40, I don't see either of you changing. And that's my take on the parents. As far as other people jumping on the bandwagon to exacerbate an already jacked up story, they are no different than the parents. Once again, this is a network which you can partner with YouTube to make funds. You can judge it however you want, but YouTube is a money-making business. We're going to go ahead and throw that out there because I don't want to talk about that either. So in the end, whether you're talking about Summer Wells or Pookie or Ray Ray, the point is this is a money-making business. This is a money-making network, whether you partner with this network or not. It's a money-making business. And they're going to get their money regardless. YouTube, whoever owns it. But the constant meddling, the constant making up of stories, the constant people who allegedly knew the child and the parents going live, making their own channels, for what? What have you gained? Nothing. Just to add more junk fluff to an already exacerbated situation. And it's sad. Because there comes a point when a person would say, don't you have something else to talk about? Do you have something relevant to bring to the public about this missing child? Innuendos, accusations, bring a receipt. Because at some point, you go from month 1 or month 3 to 6 months to a year, 2 years, 2.5 years, and yet nothing has a receipt, concrete, about what you're saying, pertaining to the children, pertaining to the parents. And it's sad that the boys are not there. Let's discuss that. Why are the boys not back with their parents? 2.5 years, you don't have custody of those kids. That's because you either didn't want custody or they would not give them back to you. Why not? And how disturbing is that? You have a whole child missing. And you're now at 2.5 years going out of a 2023 and you don't even have your damn boys back. Why not? That stands for something as well. Did these parents make an attempt to get their boy children back if it was allowed? Because we do not know the circumstances for which the boys were removed. A lot of innuendos about that as well. But nonetheless, if they were allowed to take classes or follow a protocol to get their children back, why didn't they get them back? that they want them back. Hypothetical. They were allowed to get the children back, but they did not follow protocol to get their children back. Why not? Is it because old habits die hard? You refuse to change. You refuse to walk the walk. You refuse to try to do right. Why not? For once in your life, why not try to do right? That's baffling to me. You're having all these children. Both of them have slews of children with other people, plus the ones that's missing and in foster care. And yet you do nothing to try to get them back. That speaks volumes, and nobody can say that it does not. So then you have to go back to reasoning. Hell, this is how you were behaving when you had the children. Lunatics. Barbaric. The house itself was barbaric. Hell, why even have a door on the structure? You're going to live like this inside. Spending your money on fast food, quick eats, no adequate food, doors up for the children, privacy, very scary, especially when you have people running in and out. It's a whole nother subject. Why not? Where was the care for the children? Where was the love for the children? The respect for the children? And the sad part of the story is that they carry the genes of these two people. And one would have to pray they don't carry those ways through adolescence and then into adulthood. Because then it'll be a repeat of what we have already seen play out on social media, which would be a travesty. Because how you're treated as a child forms your identity into adolescence and then adulthood. That's common sense. And we carry wounds into adulthood from childhood. So if you were highly criticized as a child, you will possibly become a critical person. Shy as a child, you may possibly be a shy adult. Maybe one day you find your voice, maybe you don't. But you abuse as a child, you'll possibly be an abuser. Because we mimic what we see. We mimic what was done to us. And may not want to be that person. I mean, who wants to be an abuser? And God forbid, the worst case of abuse is sexual assault, which there were allegations of that. I don't know if that's the truth. As I always say, bring me a receipt. Because everything right now has been innuendo pertaining to the reasoning the child missing, the reasoning of the child's deceased. But there are no receipts. So everything's hypothetical, gossip. And that ain't no good in the end. Because we're now 2.5 years later. Culpability. When you know that something is not right with a child, children, it is your responsibility to come forward to bring the information of abuse. So how many people who were in the light of these children, the path, saw abuse of some kind and did nothing? And naturally, we know that you can call that damn 1-800 number, give all this damn information. They ask you 1,000 damn questions, and it doesn't mean that they'll investigate, because that is the way it is. And as a social worker once told me, we do not remove children from East Tennessee, or the state of Tennessee rather, just because the house is unkempt. Let me repeat that again. Social workers in Tennessee do not remove children because the house is unkempt. So there needs to be severity of abuse. So use your imagination. So what was the reason that the boys were removed? What was the reason? Did they give them an opportunity to comply with a protocol to get the kids back? Number two, did the parents make an effort? Did the parents say hell with it? Or was it automatically, we're not giving them the kids back? Which was it? Back to culpability. Who knew that the children were possibly in danger of these people? Saw the signs of abuse, physical, verbal, neglect. That could be anything from clean clothes, bath, proper eating, food. Said nothing. Why would you hang with somebody that was mistreating their child? Let me say that. And that goes to the friend of Candace from Kingsport. She knows who she is. You see, like minds gather, birds of a feather. I'm not getting ready to go call DHS because I'm like her. I ain't no better. My kids were living with my mother. Stay woke. But then you want to come forward later when a social media person finds you and act like, well, this is what I was noticing. But really, you were just like her. So make it make sense. Birds of a feather. Then the old saying, you attract what you are. Is that true? Because some of us have to wonder ourselves, the people we navigate toward. We don't know them in the beginning. They look all right till they start talking. Then we start seeing signs that, I don't like this person's demeanor. I don't like the way they're talking. I don't like the slick talk jokes. I don't like to talk about illegal activity, snidness, rudeness, whatever it is. It's really not your bag. But we hang with them anyway. Let me say this to you if you're listening and you care about yourself, hell, to some degree. Don't do it. Because you see, this is the start of a downtrodden life if you don't get it together. You may be a really nice person, but you're talking and engaging with fools. And you may one day end up in a very bad situation because you didn't sever the ties. Because you see, this is what you don't want to be. It's somebody that can testify. Listen to me carefully now. Be somebody that can testify to junk, nefarious deeds, such as Summer Wells' story. Because see, these are not the kind of people you should ever want to be around. These are those people you throw your hand up to, how you doing, and goodbye. Ain't no having no beer, no cigarette, no joint, no blunt, and nothing else, if you get my drift. Now, one would say, well, to each his own. You damn right. But guess what? Don't come crying later when you got yourself wrapped up in some drama, which leads us to that mess in Kingsport. If you felt a certain way about these people, your son should not have been in their peripheral for the FBI, TBI, or whomever to talk to him about what the hell happened the day Summer Wells went missing. Checkmate. I don't like what she's doing. I don't like how she talks. I don't like how she acts. She accused me of this. I accused her of that. Then what is your child doing hanging with her? So see, you have to take responsibility yourself, friend, old friend. You know who you are. You see, you and Candace were friends because you two were similar. Don't get it twisted now. And then something happened between you two, an accusation of something missing, stolen. Now, you're not friends with her. But yet, come on with it, Queen. But yet, Your son was good enough to go hang with she. And then some people will say, well, you don't blame the children because me and the mom or dad, we fell out. Well, I still let my child go hang with him any damn way. Think about what you're saying now. Because it's even dangerous even to let children commingle with other children and you ain't getting along with the parent. Because how is that going to work? You got to either take your child to their house or vice versa. Help me understand how this makes any sense. Because family members do it all the time too. Brothers, sisters fall out and they say, well, Susie's having a birthday party and I don't want, my child missing out because me and my brother fell out, blah, blah, blah. I get that. But you also have to understand children talk. And children repeat things that grown people have said. So you don't really know what's going to happen once your child is out your peripheral. And they get over there hanging with Susie, and then your name comes up. And now people are talking bad about you in front of your child. I would suspect that a lot of people knew something wasn't right with these people and their child rearing skills, but they didn't rock the boat. The church. What did you see with the children and the parents? Did anybody at the church ever say something to the parents about the children's demeanor, how they looked when they came to church? Because that's a hard thing to do, is go up to someone and say, hey, is there something going on with your kids? Hey, is there something going on with you and your kids? Hey, you need to comb your kid's hair. Hey, your kid, has body odor or smells or acts a certain way. That's a hard thing to do. A lot of people just don't want to say anything, but let's be truthful. Something needs to be said because it's no different than sending a child to school. At some point, the teachers need to say something as well. Can't let it go on. Exacerbate. And maybe had somebody spoken up and kept speaking up to the Department of Human Services about the children's welfare, possibly this child would be around right now. Not in the care of the parents, but alive and somewhat thriving, because I don't know. You never can tell when children go into foster care. But that's the toss of the coin. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. The link is in the chat. If you'd like to come up on the panel to give your opinion pertaining to the disappearance of Summer Wells, who has been missing 2.5 years out of East Tennessee, we would like to hear your opinion. Please be respectful to the hostess and the viewing audience. If you'd like to hear the brief clip from WATE News pertaining to Summer's disappearance, it's at the beginning of this live stream. It's a very short clip. It's about 30 seconds long. And WATE News got the location of the child wrong. They said Waynesboro instead of Rogersville. Let me see what they're saying in the chat. Whew, you all are really chatting down there. And it's way too coincidental that Candace's sister and daughter are both missing without any clues, evidence. Well, my thing is this. I'm not here to say that anyone from Tennessee has anything to do with the disappearance of the sister, because that's two different locations, two different times, and I believe that two different circumstances. This lady had a tumultuous relationship with her husband, and I won't doubt that the husband has something to do with her disappearance. I don't think that has anything to do with Summer, because it was known that she and the husband had some issues. And usually when there are marital woes, that is usually the first person that detectives look at when a person goes missing. All right, Lo. Why did the church have a missing drill just before Summer went missing? Well, churches are like schools. They can, do whatever they choose to do. Doesn't necessarily mean it has anything to do with her missing. I'm not here to point fingers at the church because that would be quite irresponsible to do that, because I don't know the church, and the church is built up of many different people. So in order to point the finger, you'd be pointing the finger at all, and that would not be fair to the people in the church, because there may have been some people who didn't even interact with the Wells at all. They just were church members. Oh, Don, you have a lot to say. Adoption. What do you mean? She has a history of church adoption. Does she have adoptive children? Help me understand. I don't understand what you're saying. Does she have adoptive children in her care? I'm curious what you're trying to say. One moment, everybody. I must say, a lot of time has definitely gone by. Very scary. Very scary. And as I've told people before, if the child is alive, what fool would be holding her knowing that she's missing and not come forward? But if they got her by nefarious means, which mean, kidnapped her or she was sold to them, that would be their reason not to come forward to the police, because naturally they would fear going to jail. Fluid members. Okay, well, my thing is, but that's not a reason to judge somebody because they had access to children. That's the church's job, is to minister the word to kids and people in the community. So a lot of people have access to kids and people in the community because that's what you're supposed to do when you're with the church. You're supposed to minister the word. You're supposed to help out. You're supposed to have, Bible study, events. So I can't judge somebody for that from the church. If the little girl went to see them or whatever, that I can't rock like that, because that is the role of the church, is to interact with people that visit the community, food pantries, so on and so forth. Well, what was wrong with taking the children golfing? I always tell people to think about what you're saying, because as I said, this is how rumors get started, and that's how this case came to be fluid with rumors. Is it odd for him to want to take the children anywhere? Their sister's missing. The children would naturally be sad. Who's to say how often they got off the hill with other people, interacting with other children? Due to the fact this was summer when the children went missing, why not take the children somewhere besides them sitting up there, police coming around, detectives scouring the property for evidence, information, asking questions? Would that be odd for somebody to say, hey, let me take the boys off your hand today, take them, to do something nice for the boys? Bonnie said, I wish she would be found, but I'm still in the mindset that she's close to that home still, and somebody on that road at Ben Hill knows something. Such as whom, Bonnie? Somebody like whom? Who are you speaking of? Well, Don, I'm going to ask you, why were you involved with the family? Because I've always asked that question of people with this case and other cases. Why would you want to be involved with this family, especially once you saw the videos of TV of what the house looked like, the YouTuber that went to the house making content, the parents going public to social media, YouTube. I would have to question your motives as well. Why would you want to be involved? I'm just curious. And many people have asked that. Because I always say, you have to question everything pertaining to a true crime case, whether the person is missing or the person is deceased. You have to question the motives of the people in the storyline that are related to the victim, the neighbors, co-workers, family members, strangers, especially strangers. Interesting. Well, Don, since you have been chatting a lot in the chat, maybe you can enlighten us on what you think happened to the child. It's amazing how if I talk about Summer Wells, people decide to view the content. Don't you see how interesting that is? I'm not trying to be funny, but this is what I was talking about in my live last night. Certain storylines is when you get the views of people coming in and chatting and giving their opinion. But if I talk about anything else that isn't dealing with death and missing people, nobody views the videos. I'm just saying. This is why I had said I did not want to talk about death every day. Because it brings nastiness, sadly. Very macabre behavior comes with talking about death. And as I said, I feel like you can summon an omen to talk about death every day. And I cannot do it. The worst people I have ever seen, the behavior, was when I talked about Camille McKinney missing out of Alabama and later found discarded in the city dump. The West Boys, in this case here, the most barbaric of behavior. 3 black children and 1 white child. Just macabre. And the people who swore for God that they cared about the children, concerned about the children missing, to me, they were just as mangy as the people who were taking care of the children, accused of harming the children, gave birth to the children. I'm going to say that, and I'm going to always say that because it is the truth, my truth. The behavior was and to be still is barbaric. Because in the end, these children who went missing and later put in foster care, all of them dumped in a dumpster. Their parents were the problem from the beginning. That's the reason why the children ended up in the state they were in. And a lot of people refuse to own that. The West Boys, Camille McKinney, Summer Wells, it is all the same. I don't care what nobody says. These people had proper people rearing them, watching them. We would not be talking about them. Each case may appear different. Neglect from a baby's mother, 2 boys going to foster care. Little girl was with her mother, grandmama, she goes missing. Little girl running around the projects at night, she's kidnapped. But yet there's other children out there playing in the dark, they take this one little black baby. It's all the same. Neglect. Poor child rearing. Abuse. Then the child, 2 boys, go to adopt a family, and then they end up abusing the boys, and then they later go missing. It's all the same. if the children were properly taken care of, period, there would have been no story to discuss, to argue, to bicker over. That's what people need to understand about these cases. The start of the children's lives were janky from the beginning, and there needs to be culpability and responsibility to own your shit that you are the start of the problem. Bottom line. The link is in the chat if you would like to hit the link to give your opinion pertaining to the disappearance of Summer Wells. We are now vastly approaching into a new year. No updates pertaining to the case, which I do find disturbing, yes. And I just hope that they will say something, the sheriff, TBI, to where this investigation is. Do you have any suspects? Do you have something to tell the public about this little girl? This is ridiculous to me. Because I can tell you that when she went missing, I never thought I would be still discussing her. I'm going to go ahead and say it, even 6 months into the story. I never thought I could be talking about her 6 months and still missing, let alone a year. Now we're at 2.5 years. That's a long time. And while the parents have been out here hee-hawing around and doing whatever the hell they want to do, this little girl's missing and her other children are in the state's care. That's bad. That's a bad look. And I make no excuses for them. And I have no empathy for them. Because this story didn't have to be. And that's just my take on it. And people watch you. That's what people don't understand about missing people, death. People watch you very closely when your child or brother, sister goes missing, or your brother, sister is murdered, your child is murdered. People are watching you like a hawk. And you start doing some old crazy ass behavior, talking crazy, posting crazy nonsense to social media, which I cannot stand that, because that is not the place to be airing stupidity. Yeah, people are going to start talking. People are going to start making up stuff. That's why you stay your tail off of social media, because that is not the place for venting. That is the last place you need to be when your child is missing or your child was found murdered. If you want to thank people for their condolences, something like that, that's different. Thank you for your prayers. But all that other stuff, jumping on and ranting and raving and name calling, and you don't do that. That's very disrespectful. And that's why I said, this shows me this is how you were behaving when the child or family member was in your peripheral. And that ain't good. And then now I have to now question who you are and your role in the disappearance or the murder of the child or whomever. Yes. Evasive. Very evasive. Very ignorant acting. And the fact that they have bad relations with their other children shows pause rather for this child and the boys. How are you continuously repeating the same behavior and then expect people not to judge you? Because like I said, nobody's perfect when it comes to trying to be a parent. It's a very hard job, especially if you have not been taught how to rear a child. How somebody going to teach you how to rear a child and do the right thing by a child? People are going to make mistakes, but you have to own your mistakes and say, well, I'm going to do better by my child. And definitely stop having kids. Because as someone said to me last week, why is this lady still having babies? And then all of them have gone into state's care and she still keeps getting pregnant. Well, that's a very valid question. Why would a woman keep getting knocked up? And then the state takes her children. That's why I put on my poll last week, should there be a mandatory law that you get your goodies taken when you have been found guilty of abuse of a child, neglect of a child? Why should you get the right to have another kid and then the state gets involved in that child's life? That's not right. And that's not fair to a child. But then some would say that's barbaric to legally mandate a person to get a surgery and get their goodies taken from them. But it's okay for you to go out here and keep having children and abusing them, and then somebody has to step in to take your child? How's that right? How's that fair? It's not. You don't deserve the right to be mating. Not an animal. Or are you an animal? It's time for people to start regarding children. Barbaric as that seems, but maybe something needs to be done. I'm on the mind of police know exactly what happened to Summer. I was shocked to learn that Cal City police suspected Jacqueline and Giselle that very first night when they were reported missing. Well, Raymond girl, see what happened is with the boys. A week later, yes, they got information about the boys possibly being dead. They had to hand the case over to Bakersfield because that's where the children were originally when maybe one got dead. So Cal City was not the jurisdiction to prosecute because they talked to the children, you see. And if the children said, well, one of them didn't come with us to Cal City, so then the case had to go back to Bakersfield because that's where one of the children was murdered and discarded, possibly. We'll just say died there in that jurisdiction. And naturally, they couldn't tell us because it's an ongoing investigation. They had to gather everything, data, all that type of stuff, go through phones, devices. So it slid under, case handed over. And most of us knew then this was about to be really, really bad once Bakersfield got the case. Because it was like, oh, Lord, here we go. This ain't good. And this is a troublesome case as well. Because really they're only found guilty of murdering one, which makes no sense. They murdered one. They were a year apart. They were in their custody. Neither child has ever been seen or heard from. Well, where the hell you think the other child is? Lord have mercy. I didn't understand the jury. But I understand they have strict guidelines during trial to follow, and the guidelines are the evidence. What we bring to court to prove he, she, they did this to this one versus this one, you've got to judge them according to the evidence the prosecution brought before you. And basically the prosecution's just bringing versions from children. And that's how that ended up the way it did. Thank you, Hippie. It's very scary. Because it's scary to know, just like with that case, children are running around playing with these other kids. And then poof, voila, they're both gone. Whether they were killed the same night or killed different nights. And nobody's inquiring about them. That's scary to me. Nobody's asking, hey, where's your little boy? Where are your two little boys at? It's just, that's scary to me. And that may be the move out to Cal City. I don't really know. Because if we go back in time on that case, the lady that got up on Chris Thorne's show that sold the house to them said they had been in what you call limbo about that house, trying to sell the house, get it sold the spring. So the children were alive then. So one could say, well, they couldn't have been plotting to move to Cal City to kill the kids that long ago, because that was the spring, March or so of that year. They didn't get to that house until what? September. Late September, I believe, of that year. So I don't really know. I don't really know the reason why they moved. Because in the end, this is what happens. Like I always tell you, you are going by a version that somebody gave. And these two have never spoke publicly about the house in Cal City, why they moved out there. So you really don't know why they went out there. You don't really know what's the truth, what that lady was saying about, the legal wranglings and the money situation. You're just taking her at face value that she was telling the truth. But then when I was getting information about her and her husband had 50 different damn names for their LLC and the real estate company they allegedly had. So then you got to ask, why was that? Because I did a little digging for myself. And these people had a lot of different damn names, which I found very, very strange. And it's no different than this bullshit that's happening out in New York with that building falling. That guy's had different names as well, switched around. And that's usually what people do when they're up to no good. Because you have no reason to be changing your damn government name 50,000 different ways tied to a business. You're changing the name because of complaints, fraud. That's what that's about. So while they were sitting here judging the West couple, perhaps they were not on the up and up, the lady and her husband either. And I'm going to say that. And I thought it was strange that everybody on that street lived at that apartment in Bakersfield. What was that? Casa Loma, that was the name of it. You don't find that strange? I find that very strange. What are the odds that 4 or 5 different people lived at Casa Loma, but ended up with a fucking house on the same street in Cal City? Now you just think about that for a second. Because that is very, very, very weird. I have never heard of no mess like that before in my life. You've got several cities that sit outside of Bakersfield. Think about what I'm saying now. Several towns sit outside of Bakersfield. And what are the odds that the neighbors on the damn street where Jacqueline and Giselle lived also lived at Casa Loma? Now that's one for the books. How do these people even qualify as foster parents? Don't they do criminal record searches? Well, see, this is the thing that people are not understanding about the foster care situation. You already know they're going to run a criminal background. That is not even an issue. The issue is the temperament of the people. That is not what I'm going to display to you when I'm trying to become a foster parent. I'm not going to tell you I have a bad attitude. I get upset easily. I get offended easily. I really don't like children. I'm just doing this for the money. I need the income. I have no intent in properly raising these kids. I have no intent in loving these children. I have no intent in treating these children fairly. I have no intent in giving a fuck. I just want the money. And that is what you are seeing with foster care. Just taking the children in for income. They have no inkling in trying to raise the children, love the children, feed them properly, clothe them, put them in a room, lock them up in there until it's time for somebody to come pay a visit. Then we act like we care about them. We pull them out like they're a doll and then push them back in that damn room or hole, and nobody knows until the child starts telling the truth or goes to school and tells. because naturally the state is going to make them attend public school. That's just a given in most states. Ain't going to be no damn homeschooling, no foster care children. Now, you can do that when you adopt them, which I believe that's what Jacqueline did. She adopted them. Yeah, she can homeschool them and do all that, but they want to make sure they're going to school. And that's usually when the truth gets out. When the children start going to school, teachers start noticing things that's not proper with the kids. Their behavior, their hygiene, their hair. Let me ask this question to the chat. The link is in the chat. If someone was brazen enough, bold enough to come up here and talk to the queen, you are welcome to hit the link. That is why I dropped it, so you could give your opinion. You do not have to chat in the chat. You're welcome to come up here and give your opinion. Why was Summer's head shaved? Do you believe she had cooties? The other children had cooties. Or was that the mother had shaved her hair short and the little girl wanted to look like her mother? What is the truth? $99 viewing. Thank you for the views, everybody. Feel free to hit the link to keep the discussion going. I'm sure there are people who would like to hear someone's opinion besides me giving my opinion pertaining to the disappearance of this girl child. You are welcome to come up here to give your opinion of what you think happened to this child, why it's taking so long to get an answer from the sheriff's department pertaining to an update. Where do you see this case going? Do you believe the child will ever be found alive or deceased? Who is the culprit behind the child's disappearance? What happened to the child? Is the child alive? 100 viewing. Amen. You're now listening to the Vault XL. Thank you for joining me. No willing takers tonight. I don't know. Definitely bugs. It's a primitive and lazy way to handle it. Laura, Jesus. Well, let's go back to what was said today earlier, everybody.
That's how long Summer Wells has now been missing. 2.5 years. That's how long Summer Wells has now been missing. The then 5-year-old was last seen at her Waynesboro home on June 15th, 2021. There have been few developments in this case, especially when it comes to the child's whereabouts. This past June, almost 2 years to the day she went missing, the TBI released this age-progressed photo of Summer. She would be 7 years old. The Amber Alert remains active. If you have credible information in the case, you need to contact authorities. More on the Summer Wells case, go to our website, wate.com.
2.5 years. 2.5 years. Lord have mercy. Where is this little girl? Hit the link if you want to give your opinion pertaining to the disappearance of Summer Wells. Going back in time to the disappearance of this girl child out of East Tennessee. Where is she? WJHL is the source.
Josh and Sarah, several of our colleagues have spoken with Summer's mother off camera. She's even provided videos and photos of her daughter. But tonight, for the first time, she shares her account of what happened the night her daughter went missing, and like her husband, that she believes her 5-year-old girl was taken.
We really miss her very much. She was the angel, our blessing. The love of our life. She's what made our world go around.
It's been 13 days since Candace Bly and Donald Wells last saw their 5-year-old daughter, Summer.
I'm just scared that somebody's hurting her. And there's nothing I can do about it. And It smothers me.
As the almost 2-week-long search through the rough terrain scales back, Summer's parents say they believe someone took their daughter.
Personally, I think someone came up here and grabbed her and ran down the hill.
I think so
and
too.
threw her in a car and drove as far away as they could from this area.
I know she didn't want away from this property by herself or off this yard by her swing. I feel in my heart that somebody has came up here and took her, has lured her away from here.
Around 6:30 in the evening on June 15th, her father called to report her missing, but he wasn't home yet from work.
Me and my mother and her were planting flowers. And we went in after we got done washing our hands, and she got a piece of candy from Grandma, and she wanted to go back over and see her brothers. And I said, okay. And I walked her all the way over to the porch, and I watched her walk into the kitchen where the boys were watching TV. And I told the boys, I said, watch Summer, I'll be back. And within 2 minutes I came back. And I asked the boys where their sister was, and they said, she went downstairs, Mom, to play with her toys in the playroom. I said, okay. And I yelled downstairs for her a couple times, and I didn't get no answer, which was unusual because usually she always answers me. And so I went down there to check, and she was nowhere in sight. She was just gone.
Summer has 3 older brothers.
When they get out of line, she'd put them in line.
Her parents say she loves princesses, especially the movie Frozen, and to be outside.
She loves to dance. She would always want me. She says, Daddy, hold my hand so I can twirl. And she would just like to twirl and twirl and twirl till my arm got tired.
She'd love to play in the mud and the water and swing on her swing and enjoy dirt.
Now, authorities are looking for the driver of a red Toyota Tacoma that was in the area around the time Summer went missing, and stressing that this person is a potential witness.
I've never seen this truck, and I've never heard of it until just recently. But I wish they would come forward and explain themselves. And if you're not a suspect, at least come forward and say what you've seen.
No one has been named a suspect, and authorities have not ruled Summer's disappearance as an abduction. But tonight, her parents have one plea.
Please find it in your heart, have mercy, and find a way of letting her go and where we can get her back.
Please bring her back home.
Just let her come home, please.
We miss her so much. Her brothers are so devastated that they wake up every morning crying for their sister. And as a mother, it really hurts to see your other children crying.
Well, for the last few days, we have referred to Candace's mother as Candace Wells because that's what she went by on Facebook. But tonight she told me that her name is Candace Bly, and Bly is her maiden name.
2 weeks tomorrow, since we are told she called authorities.
Pay attention to the details. 2 weeks into it being interviewed by WJHL, and you wanted to make sure that the public calls you Candace Bly, but not Candace Wells. I want you to think about that for just a second. You are a married woman. One would assume you were going by Candace Wells before the girl went missing, but now that they were at that time, talking about your child missing, that's the only thing you can give to the news people of relevance. Call me Candace Bly. Even though I'm married now. And as this lady makes sure to say, oh, Bly is her maiden name. Stay woke. You see, I keep trying to tell you, if you pay attention, everything you need to know is sitting right in front of you. That's your only concern at that time, 2 weeks in. Call me Miss Bly. This sounds like a song in itself. My kid is missing, but call me Miss Bly. I'm just saying. What was she trying to tell the public by saying, address me as Miss Blige. Stay woke. Kind of like that comment later down the road. I love Donnie, but I ain't in love with Donnie. Well, Candace, do you still feel that way now? I'm curious. And I guess I could ask Mr. Wells, how do you feel about your wife, Miss Blige? Are you in love with she, or you love her but not in love with her? And are you two still doing things that you don't have any business, such as using drugs and alcohol? And I will say she sounds inebriated or under the influence of something during this interview. So I'm going to ask the public that is listening to this live stream, what you have just heard, did it appear visually and by her voice that she was under the influence of a sedative or alcohol or something? Because she's rolling her eyes up in her head. She didn't seem right to me. That's my public opinion of this interview with the news.
Told she called authorities, and you mentioned how she's really been reluctant to be interviewed until tonight. What do you think it was that changed that made her want to go and talk to you tonight?
I've spoken with her several times via social media. She actually ended up messaging my professional Facebook account. We have talked a few times there, and today I went up and was able to introduce myself to her, and she told me that she had been reluctant just because of all of the backlash on social media. She said that she had been reading the comments, but after speaking with her a couple of times this evening, she said that she was finally ready for people to hear her side of the story.
And you had a chance to ask what I'm sure a lot of people were wondering about, why Summer's hair was so short, and both Summer's mother and father had comments about that.
They both told me that she had already cut her hair. They said it's something most little girls do. They get a hold of the scissors and already cut her hair, and that they just decided to go ahead and shave it all off. It was just a little bit too difficult, is what they told me, to go ahead and style it that way. Her mother did tell me that she shaved her head as well to make Summer feel more comfortable, but that was why they told me her hair was a lot shorter than originally pictured.
Ansley, Daniel, something that a lot of us have been waiting for here.
So let me iterate. If I said earlier that the daughter shaved her head to look like the mother, so it was Candace shaved her head to look like the daughter. That is what was told here to the news reporters. That the child had messed her hair up. No mention of cooties in this commentary. Just that the child had been messing with her hair, and it was easier to maintain her hair by shaving it all off. Do you believe that? I will post that to my community board as a poll. Please take it if you like. Why was the child's head shaved? Revenge? Anger? Cooties? Lice? Or the child had been messing with her hair and the mother just said, the hell with it. We're going to cut it all off. And yeah, hey, I'm going to cut mine off too, so don't feel bad. We'll both have low shaved heads. What is the truth? Will we ever get the truth? I don't know.
Daniel, something that a lot of us have been waiting for hearing from Summer Wells's mother. It's something that we all wanted to hear, and you got that opportunity.
Absolutely. And tonight, like I said, both of them had their plea. They wanted, who they say believe took their daughter. They want her to come home. They just want that person to bring her home.
Right, Ansley, thank you.
And you can watch more of Ansley's interview online at WJHL.com. You can also follow the search for Summer Wells there as well. We want to mention this again. TBI says they're looking for a potential witness, not a suspect, but a witness. That person could be the driver of a Toyota pickup truck that was spotted around Beach Creek Road and Ben Hill Road in the late afternoon to early evening, June 14th or June 15th. The truck is possibly a red or maroon Toyota Tacoma around 1998 to 2000. It has a full bed ladder truck with white buckets in the bed.
Today, the reward fund for summer has been finalized. Incident Commander Tim Coop said anybody can contribute. Visit any Civis Bank branch to put money into the Churchill Rescue Squad Summer Wells reward account. If no tips lead to the little girl, the money will stay there for 6 months and then be donated to the Children's Advocacy Center.
If you know anything about the location or the disappearance of Summer Wells, even if it's just a little bit of information, investigators want to hear from you. Call 1-800-TBI-FIND. The number and the email are listed there on your screen and on our website. And remember, you can remain anonymous.
Okay, so interesting. We're not even about to touch that fun for the child. Good Lord, that's a whole nother subject. Mind you, this was uploaded 2 years ago. She was 5 years old at the time. So this year into 2024, she would be turning 8 February. 2 years ago, this is what someone had to say pertaining to this interview. She's speaking of summer in the past tense. As a mother, I don't think I would ever be able to do that. This isn't going to end well, sweet little girl. 23 replies. Mom says we love her so much, we miss her so much, as she shakes her head no. Very interesting. They always tell you that in interrogation. Watch the facial expressions, because a person tells you a lot by saying yes, but turning head no, or vice versa. Very interesting. Somebody says, I said the same thing immediately. She seems heavily medicated. I hope she didn't hurt this baby. Look, the mom is off her face and picking holes in her talk is useless. What did she say? And picking holes in her talk is useless, okay? Somebody says she was. Okay, doesn't sound good. My sister died in December, and I still talk of her like she's still here with me, never in past tense. Somebody says that's a red flag. Somebody else said, I noticed that. Very strange. Another person, I did notice this also. Another person, I caught that too. Mom seems very sus. Very sus. Well, they said very, very sus. Somebody replied to Gloria. Same. It took me 2 years before I could speak of my son being gone. In the beginning, I couldn't even say dead. I still can't do it, and I have her ashes in my house. Somebody else said, they live in the middle of the woods. Why even report her missing? If they were involved, no one would have even noticed. Very good comment. Very good comment. You are in the middle of nowhere. Would it have been easier if the parents were involved in the disappearance of Summer Wells to just say nothing? You didn't really have a lot of friends. You didn't have a lot of family members that came to visit, or you went out to visit them. Stay woke, everybody. Why even say she was missing? Because she hadn't started school yet. Ding, 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 ding. We're getting hot. Why say anything? That is a damn good question. You're in the middle of the holler. You don't have a lot of friends, a lot of family. Nobody can really just sit and watch your house and view your children riding up and down the street. You don't live in a place where there's even sidewalks where the kids can ride the bicycle. So think about it. Why not just say nothing? Why say anything? Because you didn't really deal with enough people to where it would have even mattered to even say to the little girl anything about her. It has happened before. They just found, the remains of a girl down in Georgia. She finally got a name and an ID. And a woman called years later to the detectives to say, hey, this case has been on my mind. I'm wondering whatever happened to the little girl that I never saw with these people I knew. And that's how they end up finding the parents to go investigate them to put a parent's name with the remains. So if I don't have a lot of friends, I'm not sending my kid over here, over there, the kids. Who's going to say any damn thing about the child? Just saying. Rebecca,
Yes, hello.
where are you calling me from?
I'm calling from Kingsport, Tennessee.
Thank you, Miss Kingsport. What do you have to say about this information of this?
Well,
So,
it's a whole mess. I know that.
okay.
I'm not from Kingsport. I've lived here for about 12 years. I'm
Okay.
originally from Florida, but I
Okay.
do know the Summer
Okay.
Wells case very well.
Okay.
I think that it's a tragic situation, and I mean, my opinion, and I'm going to say it, I believe the parents are involved. I do.
Okay. Well, tell me why.
Because I've seen the way that parents are around here. I've seen the people who they were involved with, the
Okay.
people they had in their life.
Okay.
I grew up in a few years. I graduated in Virginia, a few miles
Okay.
down the road, probably about an hour from Kingsport.
Okay.
It's a poor community. Kingsport, the people that travel here too, that live in the poor community,
Mhm.
it is what it is.
Yes.
There are kids here. We have 2 more girls missing here as well. If they didn't know about that, people who are on your channel, Layla
Mhm.
Fentanillo and Holland Snap, it's becoming an issue with the sex trafficking over here. And I do
Yeah.
believe
Yeah. I've
that she
heard.
was sold. I do believe she was sold. And
Okay.
I have to say that.
Okay. So I want you to think about that for just a second.
Okay.
By now, whoever, let's say she was sold. Okay.
Okay.
Would you be afraid to have her in your possession?
Well, she's not around here anymore.
No, but I'm just
She,
thinking in
she's
general.
gone.
Am I just going? Your background is echoing a little bit, sweetheart. I'm sorry. Hello.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, you got a little background noise. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay. But I'm just saying, you kidnap a kid. She's all over, Tennessee logos, this and that, the news, and then it makes it national to some point. Still, wouldn't you be afraid? You understand what I'm saying? Depending on what you're planning on doing with the kid. If you're planning on raising her as a regular child that's going to go to school, go out and play, things like that, wouldn't you be afraid of having the child? You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, I would be if she was here.
So what you're
Absolutely.
saying, they sold her to somebody out of state.
I do believe that.
And
Yes.
how would they have done that? Tell me how you think they would have done
Because Don, her dad, he actually, he worked for a construction company. They
Mhm.
built houses right down the road. My daughter actually went to school in the where the school is, that he was building houses in the vicinity around that school.
that. Mhm.
And during the time Summer was missing, him and he had Summer's mom come help over there, I guess. I'm like 2 miles down the road. I do believe that he knew people. I do believe that they were involved in drugs,
Mhm.
a lot of things. I'm not going to speak about things that I do know with drug dealers over here, but I do know that,
Why not?
yes,
Why not?
they,
Why you don't
be-
say?
well, only because I grew up in it.
Well,
And I know,
listen,
and
let's go here. I don't want you to give me half-baked stuff because, as I always tell my fans and people who listen to me, I want the whole truth, the best to your ability and your knowledge. You do not have to mention the name of the dope dealers. You don't have to give me your real name. I don't even know if Rebecca's your real name. But
right.
in order to help people understand, because they're not from East Tennessee, which I am familiar with that region.
I
They're
know
not
you
going
are.
to
You're in
understand.
Knoxville, so I
Yeah.
got you. Yeah.
Right.
I
So-
lived in Knoxville too, so yeah, I know.
So they're not going to understand what you're trying to say unless you say it. So what is it that you know that would be
Dope
relevant?
dealers around here right now, fentanyl is a big issue.
Yes, it is.
Fentanyl is a huge
Yes, it
issue.
is. Yes, it is.
And a lot of our high school kids, even people who have been in the drug scene for a long time, don't even
Mhm.
understand that what they're taking is not what it used to be.
Okay.
So there's a lot of the borders are open here. We live in Tennessee. We're open to Kentucky,
Yes, we
Virginia.
are. Yes, we are.
It's
North
all coming
Carolina.
in. It's all
Okay.
coming
So what
in.
you're trying to say is what? They sold the girl for exchange for drugs? Is that what you're saying?
I think that they had a drug habit, and the people that they're around that I know too have a drug habit, and I feel like either there was money owed
Okay.
or there was some things that were done and then they owed them because this girl did not just go missing.
Okay.
Same thing with these other girls.
Mhm.
There's a reason why, and it has to deal with drugs and sex trafficking, and
Okay, so
I know that
let's
people
lay it
aren't gonna
out.
understand, but I just know it. It's what
Well,
it is.
let's lay it out. The mom and the grandmother and the daughter have left Kingsport, and they're what, on the phone with the dope dealer saying, "Hey, we got her. Meet us over here."
No, I think that
Broad
her
daylight.
dad. I saw. I don't know, and I don't remember who did it, but somebody was doing a YouTube, and they had information that Dawn had before, um, right before this happened. He'd been located at a gas station truck stop, and we have very few truck stops here. Like
Mhm.
Johnson City's one of
Okay.
them, in Knoxville.
Mhm.
But he was up in there, and he was seen, and Summer was with him, and I
At a
don't.
truck stop. Wait, slow down, slow down, slow down. At a truck stop, what, in Johnson City?
No, it was going. Gosh, this was like a few days before she went missing, actually. He was seen going out of town, and she was with him, and people had seen them together. And I mean, I'm not coming out because like I said, I don't know the story
You don't
myself,
have to.
but
Okay.
I saw this, and when I saw it, I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Because it makes so much sense that he would take her. It was up past Rogersville.
Okay. So what are you saying? You think he was taking her to solicit her? Is what you're saying?
I think he was taking her to get rid of her that day. And right after that is when the story came out that her mom took her
So what
to
you
the
saying?
river that
He met the
day and
mother. Is
all
what you're
that.
saying.
And
So
I
you
think, yeah,
okay?
I
So
think she
he
was
met.
gone before that.
Okay. So they went to meet. Is what you're saying on this day after
Hmm.
dropping Boy H off. Boy H is what I would call the bait. He's the one to verify that I had the child with me. Will you agree with
Yes,
that? Okay.
I do.
So we drop H off. We go meet Don somewhere, and he takes the child, hands the child off to whoever. I come back, wait a couple of hours, and then report my child missing from Rogersville. Is that what
I agree.
Oh.
Yes. He's still living in Rogersville, and Candace isn't. He's still staying at that house. He's still.
Well, where's Candace?
We don't know unless she's gone to her family's up where her sister was missing at. I mean, I don't know where she's at, but she's disappeared. Dawn's still here.
Well, where did you get this information from?
Well, I know Bullhorn Betty. I don't know her personally, but I do talk to
Oh.
her. She actually just talked to him 2 weeks ago.
I see.
She's been coming down here and doing a lot with a lot of cases down here. And I don't get involved in the YouTubers, like I said, but I've lived here and what I've seen and with the girls that are missing and the things that are going on here and it is so bad now. We have so many people that have moved here from California, New Jersey.
Well, we haven't moved here. That's why the rent's high, as I've told you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
a lot of people here from California. Yes. Well,
And that's fine, but
well, it's not fine because we're paying for something that is too high and it's undeserving. So it is a problem. And we have a homeless problem here in Knoxville. So it's a big problem.
horrible here too. Yes, ma'am. I drive down there. I deliver medication to people so I don't have to stay in the hospital. And I've seen the tent city down there, and it's horrible. And I hate it. I hate to see that. But
so Candace's sister went missing. Do you don't believe that they're connected, or you do believe they're connected?
I do believe they're connected. I do.
Okay, so think about what you're saying. He owes a drug debt, hypothetical, sells his kid. What the hell would that have to do with the sister?
Well, I mean, I do believe Candace was involved too. To be honest,
that's what you're saying.
I think she left. But I mean,
you
her
don't
sister
believe-
went missing too. I think that
well, she had a tumultuous relationship. I'm trying to cut you off, but she had a very tumultuous relationship with her husband, allegedly. That's been verified through friends and people.
Yeah.
And she allegedly went off that night to go somewhere to a bar or meet somebody, and she's never seen again.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and
what
Candace
happened to the guy that she was?
Just listen for a
Well,
second.
yeah, but
Candace was allegedly not living up there.
Candace went off and was having an affair as well on her husband.
Okay, but the point I'm trying to make is if Candace was not living up there, how could she be involved? And why
Candace was here when Summer was in. Candace was here. Well, I mean, she wasn't with her sister, but I don't know. I just feel like her and her sister had connection. I feel like she knew something. I'm not saying that her sister went missing because of her, but she
else says
knew.
I
I
think he
feel
was
like she
sold,
knew.
but I don't think it was before June 15th.
Right.
Hmm.
I think that she knew what happened to her sister. Maybe it was the boyfriend, or maybe it wasn't. I don't know.
Okay.
But it's awful
Well,
funny that her daughter went missing. And how can you tell me that you cannot hear your child scream when she went downstairs to play? I just
Well, if I
don't.
cover, okay,
And you're
think about
out in
what
the
you're saying.
country.
But think
I
about what
lived
you're
in the
saying.
country. You
But
know
think
what
about
I'm
what you're
saying?
saying.
You would
No,
hear
think
your
about.
child.
Well, we're going to do all hypothetical. So the child is downstairs in the basement. I have entered the
Yes.
basement. I see the child. What would be the first thing I would do? I would cover her mouth.
Right.
Okay, so she can't scream.
Yeah, but you're living. I know where they live, and I know where I live, and I know where I've lived, and it's going to take a while for them to get her down that hill. She's going to
I agree.
scream at some point.
Listen, I'm not saying that what you're. I don't want you to think I'm being argumentative. What I'm trying to explain to you is,
I know you're not.
if I'm gonna do hypothetical, I'm going to cover her mouth. I'd be a fool to enter someone's house
Exactly. You would
and
cover
not
the
cover
child's
her
mouth.
And yes, I agree with you. There's no way I believe somebody came up that rocky road, because you're going to make a lot of noise.
They're on a
coming up
hill.
that hill.
Either way, she came down or went up or whatever.
Mhm.
She's going to make a noise, and somebody's going to hear it.
Yeah, you're going to
So
make
I
noise
believe
coming
it's
in
a lie.
car. So that's why I never
Exactly.
believed anybody went up there in a car. I never believed that.
No.
And I know how people navigate here because I live here. You don't go
Yeah.
venturing off on roads like that anyway, because you don't know what you're going to meet going up the path.
No, and even if you do, like I do in the business I do, delivering to people's homes, I'm very careful. And if I don't feel
Exactly.
comfortable, I'm going to turn around.
Exactly.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Why do you think the boys never went back home, and why were they taken?
I believe because they were unfit. I know they were unfit. Look at their house. I mean, you could see it on YouTube. And I've seen people.
Yeah, but the boys were there a whole month and a half before they were removed.
Well, DCS around here is a joke, and I have to say that. And I'm sorry. I know people who still have their children who should not have their children,
Yes,
and
I
people
agree
who
with that
should.
too. Yeah.
So it's a joke. I wish that DCS was a lot better when it comes to taking children out of the home, and especially when they're taking children permanently.
Mhm.
They need to make sure they charge parents before.
See, that's the thing
they
about
take children
abuse.
permanently.
A lot of children are removed, but it's not severe enough to charge them. You understand what I'm saying?
Why?
To bring
Exactly. Why aren't
forward.
parents getting charges?
Because the abuse isn't. It's got to be so severe. The child is probably barely hanging on to life for them to say, "Okay, we're going to go to the attorney and try to file charges." See what I'm saying? Just like any kind of charge.
I don't
That's
agree
why
with
they
that.
just remove the
100%.
kids and either decide immediately or give them a chance to try to get their kids back. So let me say this. If it wasn't nothing severe at the house, do you think they should have got their boys back?
I still don't think they should have got their boys back. No.
Do you think they wanted their boys back?
I don't think they should ever have their boys back. No, man.
Okay, do you think they had got the opportunity to get their boys back? Do you think there was a protocol to get the boys back?
I don't think there was here.
Okay.
Like I said, DCS is not. No, they don't do what they should do. They should make sure that parents know how to take care of their children before they give them back and give them that opportunity. But no, they don't. They just take them because they collect money on them, just like they do with our kids in school. They want them to go to school every day so they can collect money. If they miss, that's why we go to court for truancy.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
What do you think Boy H witnessed on that afternoon?
I think that he witnessed more than he's saying, and I don't know that family, but I've seen them out plenty of times, and I do believe that his mother has told him to just say whatever, and I don't believe that he's being totally honest. I believe that he knows.
Elaborate.
Well, I believe that he knows exactly what happened to Summer. I believe.
But how would he know? Think about this. I'm only using him for bait.
Well, maybe not. Maybe
witness.
not. If nothing happened to her in the car, like people are saying, because I don't go with conspiracy theories and all that. I don't.
Yeah.
And I don't know that maybe she did go swimming and she was tired and she fell asleep.
Okay.
Pictures don't look like that.
Okay,
And
I'm going to ask you about that too, about the pictures. Because see, you're saying you think she was alive and went with her father, so she wouldn't have been dead in those photos.
I mean, even though I know, or I feel, in my opinion, that family knows. I do believe that Dawn was at work. I believe that he doesn't know as much as Candace knows, and that's why she's not around. And Dawn's still sitting up here at the house trying to figure out what's going on, because I really don't. I think he knows, but he doesn't, and,
But wait
and
a minute,
maybe
he
he's
just said he
protecting
thought that he
Candace.
told her.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's such a confusing situation. I do feel like that he does. No, maybe they were in on it. I'm
Rebecca,
conflicted too, Miss
Rebecca,
Clean.
you know you are all over the place.
I'm
God,
sorry. Well, I live here, and it's so crazy because I don't get involved in all of it. But I know people around here, and I see stuff every day, and I do feel like they know. I feel like he knows to a point,
Okay.
but he's protecting somebody, maybe,
So
or
let's go
maybe
here.
he did
So
take her
let's go here. So you
to protect Candace.
first you thought he sold the kid from stuff you're hearing. Then you think maybe it was a debt owed. Then you think, okay, that boy H was baited, that he might know more, but then maybe he don't know more. What do you think the grandmother knows?
Well, I don't think the grandma knows much at all. I really
Okay.
don't.
What about the boy children?
I don't think that the boys know much. Maybe
Okay.
she just went downstairs, and I think that they did something with her. Because, like I told you, I feel like she would have screamed, and we would have heard her, or somebody would have heard her.
Well, let's go here since we're all over the place. Did she make it back to the house?
No.
Okay.
No, she made it back to the house. I do believe that she went to the river that day because there was, I'm going all over the place. I'm
Yes, you
trying to
are.
not be. I'm
Oh,
so sorry.
Lord Jesus.
You do this crime stuff. I watch it. I don't do it. That's why
Yes.
you are the queen.
I'm only doing this Summer Wells because it's the year is coming out, and I
It's
haven't
so
discussed her much.
sad.
So this is my homage to her because her birthday will be here in 2 months. So I'm
Well,
just
I know, and I saw that the other day, that news interview, and I was like, "There's no update." So it's so upsetting because
Well-
we live here, and my 15-year-old daughter. Every day that I go out, I'm scared to even let her stand outside waiting on me to pick her up at school because of the things that are going on around here.
Okay.
I moved from Florida to here to be safe, and it's not safe anymore.
Well,
It's not.
well, that's because we have a lot of drugs now, and people are addicted to drugs, and people will do anything to attain the drugs. And then
Well,
we also
what's going
people
on
that
in
are sadists.
Kingsport, Tennessee, I will
Mhm.
say, is anybody who knows anybody that lives at AmeriCorps down here, the hotel, all these girls who are living down there that are on drugs, that's where the sex trafficking's going on huge.
Okay.
And that's why these girls are missing.
Okay.
Because they're
I haven't
going
heard
over,
anything.
it's right beside Five and Below. where
Okay, I
they
haven't
quit
heard
missing
anything.
that. Well, if you look up those cases, you'll see them, and you might want to
Okay.
go over them eventually. but
I'll check it. I'll check it out.
it's so bad here. And
Okay.
it's so sad. But
So-
I wish that something would happen in the Summer Wells case because I do feel like, her parents know whether or not they did anything. I think they know something.
Okay.
And it's
They're
just not
involved.
okay.
They're
Yeah,
involved.
I think they're involved. I do.
Okay, let's talk about Ronnie Lawson. How do you feel about his role in navigating this case? Do you believe he has done due diligence by the family, the child? What do you believe?
I don't know a lot about all that, but
Okay.
I have to be honest. Ronnie Lawson, I don't know.
Okay.
Do
Do you think they know something or have a suspect, but they don't have enough evidence?
I think they haven't looked enough. I think they
Really?
haven't looked enough. I really do. I think that even Kingsport, Tennessee, the sheriff's department here has not done enough.
Well, what? Well, how do you
And
know what to look?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't. But I don't feel that they have because I know the mayor
Okay.
here.
Okay.
I know that he is not going to run next year, and there's a reason why. There's a lot of corrupt stuff going on in Kingsport, Tennessee, and I will tell you that. If you look up Cedar Jones on TikTok, you'll find out a lot of stuff.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So
Okay.
look him up. He's a very good. He's all about Kingsport. He tells everything.
Okay. Well, is that a good idea though? In a small place, you can get missing.
It's well,
I
that's
mean,
why
we are
I'm scared
in the
because I
mountains.
moved
No,
here
listen,
to
listen,
not.
Listen,
You can
we're
go in the mountains and
mountains,
never be found.
but that's the point I'm trying to make.
Yes,
Because we're
ma'am.
talking about somebody missing. So just as quick as Summer Wells can get missing, you're on TikTok making videos about this person and that person and calling their government name out. That person doesn't think that maybe one day he could get missing.
Well, he could. He sure could. But there's a lot of people around here that could go missing and they'd never be found. And she
I
could
know
be
that.
here. She could be anywhere.
Yes, you could.
And they could never find her here. And
That's
that's
true.
the thing. People threaten people with that all the time over here. You'll never get found if I do something to you,
Of course.
because there's so many forests and woods, and you'd never be found, sinkholes and everything else.
Uh-huh.
And there's a lot of that came into the fact. There was stories, like I said, I don't believe all those stories with Dawn doing construction in these houses. My daughter went. I live actually not too far, I won't say, but down from where he was building all these houses, and there's a school down there, and they were saying that maybe she was put into one of the walls, where they built one of the houses, and they looked into some of that. They haven't looked all the way, but there's no telling. There's just no telling. She just didn't disappear out of thin air, though. So there's no telling. I
Let me
really
ask you
truly
this.
believe,
Listen. Let
because
me
they
ask
were
you this.
drug addicts, that I
Okay, but
have
listen
to
to
say
this.
that, but I don't know.
But let's go here. Hypothetical. If she wasn't sold, what would be the motive to kill her? Oh, she fell off. She was up here. Woo, Lordy. Yowza. What did you say down there, hippie? Get this awful feeling that Ellie is dirty somehow. I don't know why. I don't trust him. Okay. Her parents don't even know when Summer's birthday is. Shaking my head. Well, oh Lordy, my head's spinning. Jesus wept. There are so many questions when it comes to this case. As she was saying, gossip. See, you don't know what to believe. This is why I don't jump into all that. I never did try to get wrapped up in all that he said, she said stuff, because you really don't know what is the truth. And it's just so easy for anybody to jump up and say, I heard this, I saw this, I think she's here, I think this person's involved, I think this person's involved. You got to have a receipt, because it's really just not good enough to just say, I heard this, and he said this. Who is he? Who is they? Who is she? Just a random ass person that you don't really know that person even exists. It's just that somebody came to you and told you, hey, I think she was put in a wall. Hey, I think she's in a hole. I think she's in. Bring a receipt already. She could be right there in plain sight. They searched allegedly the area, but then you have to think this is East Tennessee. We're in the mountains. Oh my goodness. Summertime. Everything is in full bloom in June. Every tree, every grass, property that's not been cut. You got to think about that. And there's no way you could even say, oh yeah, we went over every piece of land in that general area where the little girl lives. You know, I don't believe that. No way I believe that. Because it's too vast. It's too fucking vast. That's just common sense. You got to have an idea. What I'd like to know is what has not been mentioned to us, which would be phone pings, data. What did their phones reveal? Days before the little girl went missing, up until the phone call on Ben Hill Road from Candace. What do the phone pings reveal? Was the father at work? Was he at work all day from morning up until he got the call from Candace? Did he veer off anywhere? Did she meet him and handed the child over, then came back and made up this story? See, we don't know. But we live in an age of cameras. So always remember that just because I give you this caked up version doesn't mean there isn't CCTV footage with me on it doing something different than what I told law enforcement. And this is how a lot of people get caught. Because they say, well, yeah, I went over here, but they never went over there. And they're not thinking that there are cameras. So even if we're talking about gas stations, that would be stupid to go to a gas station and meet somebody with your child, hand your child over, then go back home and make up a story and not think somebody would say, no, I think I saw that lady in her car parked by his truck. Once they see, what you look like, once they get a version of what your cars are, A person could easily just call law enforcement and say, well, that looks like the lady I saw over here, and they were parked side by side, and I saw her get out of the car with a little girl, and then the little girl got in the car with the man. See where I'm going? Hippie says, I don't believe he was at work all day. Okay. That would be foolish. Camera lights. Do not know how the system is set up there in that region, Rogersville, if they have camera lights on their lampposts. But we have cameras here in this region, even on the interstate. So you can be seen, even driving down the interstate, they can make your car out. That's how a lot of people have been found to be liars, such as with the Carly Russell case. That's why you have to be careful about the version you give. Oh, that's okay, Rebecca. That's why you have to be careful about the version you give, because you don't know about the eye in the sky that could put you somewhere else other than where you said you were. And that's just a spoken word. And that is how many people have been caught lying about where they were, where they navigated. So what is the synopsis? The child was sold to somebody in Tennessee or outside of Tennessee. The mother handed the child over to the father, and he sold the child to somebody else, bartered with the child. Maybe he said he would get her back. I hate to say this. Could it be that he bartered with somebody to have some, time with the child and then get the child back? They never brought her back when they were supposed to. I don't know. Just throwing the idea out there. Some of you believe the child was missing beforehand. But I think that would have been proven already due to the fact that she went and got boy H. And I won't doubt that there are cameras in that region in Kingsport that would show he and Candace weren't together at that time, nor was the child. That would have been already revealed, I think, to the public. Hey, you didn't have your child with you on this day, as you said. So I believe she went missing on the day that was reported, which was June 15th. Because that would be easy to verify with all the places they went. The doctor, the pharmacy, their house. God knows there's got to be somebody over there that has cameras that could say, yeah, we see the car, we didn't see the car come through. So I think that would have been revealed to the public. But I do believe boy H was used as bait, as a witness to say, oh yeah, she had her kid, I was with her, blah, blah, blah. But see, the gist of that is he can only account for the time that he was with her and the kid. Once he was dropped off, he can't say what happened to Summer. He can't say anything. He can only say what she looked like when he last saw her. And another thing I find strange is that allegedly she changed the little girl's clothing at H's house, if I'm not mistaken, which that makes no sense. Because if I'm calling this boy to see if he wants to go along with me and my child and mother or whatever for the day, then wouldn't I have had in my mind to go swimming in order to take a swimsuit? So why wouldn't I not put the child in the swimsuit and then put her clothes over the swimsuit? And then when we got to the swimming hole, I undressed her and then she jumps in the water in her swimsuit. Stay woke. This is why I tell you have to pay attention to what people say, because this is how people get caught in their lies. They are not planning on the interrogation. They're not planning on somebody dissecting every word and conversation. And that is where she messed up. I've got this day planned out to get rid of my kid. However, let's just say hypothetical. This was a planned event to get rid of the child. You knew you wanted to take it to the swimming hole, use this boy H as bait to go along as a witness. You would have dressed the child in the swimsuit that morning from Ben Hill Road. Because how easy is that? Swimsuit, shirt, pants, skirt, whatever. Run around, get to the swim hole, take the shirt, jacket off, pants, boom, got your swimsuit already on. Stay woke, everybody. Stay woke. I don't know what Boy H knows and what he doesn't know. I don't know what he saw, didn't see. But I would hope he wouldn't have any involvement in the disappearance of a child or aiding into the disappearance of a child or harming a child. I think he was just used for verification of seeing the little girl. But as I said, that's not enough once she's out of sight, because that's all he can speak of, how she looked and how she behaved when he saw her last. Once the mother left his house, it doesn't matter. I believe this was orchestrated. Whatever reason it was to get rid of her, to hand her off, the person do whatever they wanted to do with her, because that's the whole point. Whatever the reason would be to give the child to somebody else temporarily or permanently, it's on that person to do what they want with the child. And naturally, it wouldn't be, the person to me wouldn't be decent. That's my public opinion. Because why would you take a child that doesn't belong to you and you know that the child is missing? The mother has reported the child missing. And you're going to hold on to this child and not go to the police and say, hey, I got this kid. Even if you just made up a lie and said, yeah, I got her. I was going to raise her as my own, but I don't want to be, involved in no scam or arrested for having her, and you find her here. Or you took her for nefarious reasons, sexual, let's say, in nature. You surely wouldn't tell the police that. Oh, yeah, I took her so I could assault her and then kill her. Come on now. Where is this baby? Who knows the truth to what happened to Summer Wells? Will the truth ever be revealed to what happened to Summer Wells? Will the parents ever slip up and tell the truth? Because let me tell you something. Two people knowing the secret is a dangerous thing. And the fact that they haven't slipped up and said something about the disappearance of the child and what happened to her is amazing. But the one thing I've learned about true crime is that pillow talk gets it every time. That when a person meets somebody that they decide to trust, they eventually tell what happened to the person. And if these two are not together, that will most likely happen when the person becomes the most vulnerable, comfortable with somebody else. He or she will say something about what happened to Summer Wells. Maybe a bit of the truth, half of the truth. It'll be a little something. And hopefully, that person who's listening, he or she will contact law enforcement. And I hope, like hell, you have it recorded. As I said, I tried not to get into the grittiness pertaining to this case and other cases because it doesn't serve the case well. When you start digging into the social media commentary and the innuendos and the hypotheses, and some of it's just basic lies, because as I said, you don't have a receipt to it. And one would have to say, TBI, I would hope, rather than the sheriff's department, would have investigated and continue to investigate this case thoroughly and come up on any lead that they got and check the leads. The red truck. Was that just the red herring? Something thrown out by law enforcement to see if they get a response from the parents. If the person is a witness, then where is he or she? Tennessee, Virginia, Kentucky, North Carolina. Where is the truck? Who owns the truck? Was the truck on the road near the house, and that's why it's relevant? Did somebody drive by? A work person is what we had heard. That somebody in a work truck that works in that area saw the red truck, and I would assume they saw it near that house. So if the truck was near the house, what was it doing? Which direction was it sitting in? Was the truck on? Idling? Was somebody in the truck? Sitting in the truck? Standing outside of the truck? More than one person at the truck? Very strange information. But then months into the investigation, we hear the truck has no relevance, per Ronnie Lawson. So then one would say, then why the hell did you mention it? Is it because somebody thought they were helping and actually saw a red truck? Ladder on the truck. You don't hear anything about the truck now. You don't hear anything about this damn case. Did the child make it back to the house? Did the brother see the child enter the house, go downstairs? Or did the child never make it back to the house? And the mother made up this ruse. Then we have to ask, what questions were asked of the children from law enforcement? Did the children tell? No, we never saw her once she left the house that morning. Imagine that. No, she never came home. We didn't see her. We just heard our mom saying she was missing. But we never saw her return. Do you know how crazy that would be? Do these boys hold the secret to where the sister is and what transpired that afternoon? The grandmother, her role. Did the mother tell her anything about what was going to happen to the child? Was it just the grandmother and Candace that returned back to Ben Hill Road that afternoon without Summer? Then that means the grandmother went along with the ruse as well. Very dangerous. Very dangerous. Did the husband stay at the job site, house, wherever he worked all day long? Anybody else venture to the property to take this child? How would that be without anyone hearing someone come up the drive? Dangerous drive, too risky. Did the father owe someone a drug debt and use the child as collateral? Who would want a child for collateral? Stay woke. Only a sadist would want the child, take the child, and that means you would have to know that the person was down with that type of behavior to want to assault a child. Stay woke. Will these two people tell the truth of what happened to their child June 15th? We are currently leaving 2023. No new updates pertaining to her whereabouts. No information about how her brothers are doing. No commentary from the parents to the general news. Just hypotheses, innuendos, assumptions. No updates. You have to admit that where these people lived or currently live, it's the perfect setting for a disappearance. She didn't go missing allegedly in the city of Kingsport, Rogersville, Knoxville, Tennessee, Johnson City, Greenville, Newport, but in the holler, winding road in the middle of nowhere, with no cameras, no nothing. No cameras on the house, no cameras on the drive, no cameras inside. Conveniently. Where is this baby? Who will tell the truth to where she is, alive or deceased? So much tragedy has come about pertaining to this disappearance of this girl child. Brothers removed from the care, which I think that was the right thing to do because these people were not fit to raise them. But nonetheless, they are children, and children will still care for their parents, even if they know they were not raised properly or being taken care of. Children still will honor their parents, care for their parents, love their parents. They missed their sister. It was sad listening to her talk about the boys waking up every day crying for their sister. But imagine you're crying for your sister and your mother, father, or both are the reasons your sister is not around. And you have no idea. So you're crying to the devil. Imagine that. Imagine being removed from that house to never return again and never get a proper explanation as to why. Now you're in the world with strangers, trying to navigate this new existence without your sister and your parents, and never hear again from your sister where she can be found and located. That would be a terrible place to be for a child. Foster care, living with strangers. And where do these parents sit pertaining to their involvement of the disappearance of their daughter, the non-rearing of their boy children, and the innuendos and hypotheses by many people here and abroad to their involvement in the disappearance of their own girl child? Do they care? Some may say, hell no, they do not. Do they want to tell the truth if they are involved, but they know they'll probably go away to prison? Will they ever tell the truth to what happened to the girl child? Is there somebody else out there that knows what happened to Summer Wells, but he or she is holding the secret for some sick reason? If the walls could talk, Ben Hill Road, what would they tell us? If the trees could talk, what would they tell us? That house is scary as hell because it does hold a secret to what happened to the baby. It holds the orchestration of the removal of a child for no damn good reason. It holds the secret. And it would be pathetic to know that a person would deliberately harm their child for whatever reason, sell their child, barter with someone with no regard for whatever reason, and then go to the news and act as if the child went missing somehow, but they know what happened to their child. Lie to their own children, knowing what happened to the child. Get on social media acting a donkey's ass, inebriated, under the influence of narcotics, alcohol, at the expense for attention, donations. You have to be utterly sick. Rebecca says that the two are not together. I have no verification if that is the truth or not. If Candace is not living at that house, if Don is just there alone, I have no idea. But that would be very interesting. And I'm going to say this and I'm going to check out of here. If these two orchestrated the disappearance of the child for whatever reason, caused the death of the child, know what happened to the child on the property, such as an accident, the children were involved, it was a cover-up by the children, I still can't see how those children could hold that lie. And children can be good liars, but 3 knowing, I would see 1 telling. So possibly the children have no knowledge. At some point, one is going to tire of the other. be it they both conspired to get rid of the child, one conspired to get rid of the child, lied to the other one, or eventually told the other one what they did to the child, the other person holds the secret, eventually one will tire of the other, or both will tire of each other. And that is where the danger comes. Because once a person decides he or she no longer wants to be in the fold with this person, somebody is going to get jiggy and start to wonder what the other one is going to tell. So if both parties know what happened to Summer Wells, both parties are no longer together, separated, this would be a very dire situation for the two, because each is going to wonder what the other one is doing and talking about. So it's safe to say each would know best we stay together, because I don't need him or her talking. What do you mean, hippie? What do you mean that grandma pulled it off? What do you mean by that? I don't understand what you're saying. She pulled it off in Wisconsin. Well, as I've told you before with true crime, there's always somebody that holds the secret of what somebody else has done. That has been proven time and time again with murder. People usually can't hold the secret of death. They have to tell somebody. The sick part of the story is the person holding the story, holding the lie, holding the fraud. How can you hold the fraud? But it has been on, I don't know how many stories I watched where the person told somebody what they did, and somebody holds the secret. That's the baffling part. Besides the orchestration of death, it's somebody else being told or conspiring with them, and they both are in cahoots, either before, during, or afterwards. To me, it's all the same. Don't come to me telling me you murdered somebody and now I've got to hold that lie, that fraud alongside you as if I murdered the person. I don't want that responsibility. And I'll tell anybody, you're about to go out here and do something felonious such as murder, don't tell me. I don't want to know. Because even if somebody tells you something like this, what you have to tell yourself, why would they tell me this? Is this true? Even if they tell you in third person, somebody said I did that, that's still bad. Because now you've repeated it to me. I don't want to know that type of junk. Now, one could say you should want to know because you need to know what type of person you're dealing with. But then I don't know if it's the truth or not in the circumstances for which the person got murdered, allegedly. This is why, like they said, you got to know the people you are dealing with. And these two have a bad history of neglect and abuse to children, each before meeting one another. And to me, that holds heavy weight. So really, we cannot be surprised that Summer is missing and that 3 boys are in the care of the state. That was going to happen anyway, sadly. Exactly. How long is the secret going to last? That's why I said, if the two are separate, the secret has a good chance of getting out. Because people will tell when their guard is down and they feel they can trust the person whose company they are in. And eventually people get tired of lying. Hard to believe, but many people cannot wait to tell somebody what they did. It's just a matter of when. And if both of these parties are involved, they're going to tell it one way or the other. Because that's a hell of a lot to carry. That's a hell of a burden to carry. you killed your kid, you sold your kid, whichsoever. You accidentally killed your kid. How long can you carry that? Now, we've seen people do it now. But I feel that God is not going to let this story not have an ending. And we may look up and be old and gray, and somebody comes forward with the update to the Summer Wells case. And then the truth will come out. And it might be 5 years from now. Hell, next month, 20 years from now. But I pray that the truth will be revealed to where she is. And I know the truth lies between the two parents. Now, the flip side of the story is that they have no knowledge of what happened to their child. They have no involvement. And that is where one would start to ponder, how could that be so if I'm to believe your child was in your care, mother, before you made that fateful 911 call? Two and a half years, no sign, no update. Will we ever hear the 911 call? Usually the 911 call in a true crime case is only revealed when there's an arrest. The police have a suspects. They have met with the district attorney, and then they decide to reveal 911 call. And I would like to hear it. What she actually said to the dispatcher. Because that has variants as well, the 911 call. Because remember when the story first took off, we got wind that she took a walk. But then when she does the interview, stay woke everybody, she made sure to say to the reporter, I don't walk anywhere around here because of the bears and coyotes. Say it again, Angela. I don't walk anywhere around here because of the bears and coyotes. Because 9 times out of 10, she gave different versions to authorities and on that 911 call. Because I find it very interesting that first it's a walk, then it's scooted under the rug, then it's the interview that took 13 or so days to give to the news because she's worried about what people are saying on social media. She's sedated under the influence whatsoever during the interview. And she makes sure to let the reporter know, I don't walk anywhere. Because the first thing law enforcement is going to say to Candace Bly, how often do you walk, ma'am, off the property? Number 1. Where do you walk to, ma'am? Do you go all the way off the drive, ma'am? Which direction do you take your walks to, ma'am? Which way did you walk, ma'am? Stay woke. So then now I have to say to myself as the liar, oops, I shouldn't have said that. So now I got to clear that up. Oh, what I meant to say is I took a drive off the property. Excuse me. So which is it? You left by foot or you left by car? And if you left by car, foot, you left your children unattended. And if your mother was sick and ill because of the knee problem, she can't watch to see what the children are doing while you left the building. Checkmate. So which is it, Candace Bly? Did you leave the property by foot or by car? Did you even come back to the property with your child, Summer Wells, and your mother? Or did you leave Kingsport with your mother and girl child and met your husband and he took the child? Or you went and took the child somewhere and dumped your child with your mother and your mother is complicit? Or you got back to the house, your daughter was asleep or something in the back seat. You made sure your mother got to safety in her trailer and you drove the child back off the property and dumped the child. Which is it, lady? If the mother and father are not together, because I don't know if this is true or not, why are they separated? Let me say this, and I'm out of here. I'm not in love with you anymore. I've lost my children by my own doing. I really don't need you, Donald Wells. I am codependent. So are you. But do I need you? Because I don't really have a great life here in East Tennessee in the holler. People still think I've done something to my child. I don't have my boys back, if indeed they were my favorites. I have nothing. Maybe perhaps, if this is true, they are not together. I do not know. Candace realized she needs to fly away. Hello, Jab. Maybe she realized I need to fly away. There's nothing here in Rogersville. There are no children. I'm not getting them back. Summer is not coming back. I'm not in love with my husband. And I want to be free. But always remember, and listen to me carefully, free ain't really free. I want to thank you for joining me. God bless all of you. Happy holidays. Be aware of your surroundings, what you post to social media. Porch pirates are out. Make sure somebody's home to pick up your packages. Do not leave boxes outside on the porch to show what you have purchased. Keep your doors and windows locked. Ladies, if you're going to be shopping late night, take somebody with you. If you need to go home to unload, do so. Go back out to shop. Know that you can also become a true crime story if you are not careful of the company you keep and the decisions you make. Because you have to remember that a lot of the people we are talking about had no idea that they would be on the Oxygen Network, Dateline, and a YouTube video such as what I'm doing here. Be very careful of the company you keep, as not to end up a YouTube story. Be mindful of what you post to social media. Be aware of your surroundings. God bless all of you. Thank you for listening. Thank you, AB. Thank you, new visitors. Please subscribe to this network. Like, share, subscribe. Make this content go viral. Please go to my community page to take the polls pertaining to breaking news. I always put up a poll pertaining to the characters that I discuss. I will be putting up polls pertaining to Summer Wells after this live stream. Take the polls. We will later discuss those findings and your opinions. Feel free to comment below this video and the post. You have been listening to The Vault Excel.